What's going on, everybody? I hope you can hear me. It's a fly. I hope you can hear me, but because I won't be recording this video again. But my name is David. If you don't know who I am, which none of you should know who I am, but I'm starting a new series where it's just gonna kind of go into my mind, and I'm gonna share with you the wisdom in which that I have. To give a quick short story about who I am, I'm rich. I may not have, the money at the moment to, tie to that I'm rich, but I'm rich. I'm loaded. But I want to talk today about brainwashing, the concept of brainwashing. Now, I'm currently at like this pond kind of vibe thing in my neighborhood area, and I'm gonna get a mic, and I'm also gonna get a stand and all that crap. Maybe eventually I get like a camera that can be used for that's good for recording. But let me know how you guys feel about this video, if it's any good or any of that crap. But I'm really just gonna be sharing what's in my brain, honestly. But let's get into it, guys. All right, I've written some stuff down, some notes, some talking points. I'm not really gonna try to use much of it during this video. I'm gonna try to go cold turkey and just straight off the noggin, and yeah. But I'm gonna go over the points so I don't forget or miss anything, and I'm gonna try to keep it short too. But let's get into it. So the first thing I want to say is that you all know that we're all being brainwashed, and if you don't know, then you should understand that every single one of us is being brainwashed. Now, brainwashing is not a negative thing, okay? And I need people to understand that brainwashing can be positive and it can also be negative. And when I say we're all already being brainwashed, if you just look at the world we live in, where we're so consumed by our technology, or we're so consumed by the things that they tell us, and that becomes the reality that we have to live. We're forced to consume the news about COVID-19 or about the Hata virus or whatever the hell they call that crap, about the war in Iran. All of these different things are conditioning us and are brainwashing us into believing certain things. When you look at the concept of marketing, right? Marketing is simply just a brainwashing attempt to brainwash you into wanting to buy someone's stuff, someone's product. When you go to the store, you don't want those cookies in the aisle, but when you go across the aisle and you see the cookies, you see the Oreos, or you see the chocolate chips, the branding makes you curious, and then you decide that you want these chips, and now in your mind you believe you want the chips. Or maybe you saw an ad on TV about Chips Ahoy, and that made you want to go to the store and grab some. Now, we all know that Chips Ahoy isn't good for you, but because you've been brainwashed into believing that it's okay to eat them, that it's a guilty pleasure, that you should enjoy life, that life should not be hard, right? Because you've been brainwashed into believing these things, you go and grab them. It's the same thing with McDonald's. It's the same thing with Burger King, or all of these crappy food items that people go and buy, right? We've been brainwashed into believing that treating yourself is a good thing. And treating yourself is, but treating yourself with the right stuff, not trash, like McDonald's. Like, who the hell eats McDonald's? I know a lot of people do, but it's crazy. But everyone should understand that we are consistently being influenced. What do you think the concept of an influencer is? Influencers have a large range attack on children, on people, on the way people think, on society. Why do you think Trump was getting influencers and podcasters to stand and back him? Because the podcasters have power, right? Attention is the new power in this economy. It's not money, it's attention, because attention will give you money. But that's not really the topic of today. The topic of today is brainwashing, right? Now, mind my camera. This is my phone camera. I cracked my screen protector, and it's cracked right on the camera. But that's the first point, right? Ignore what I just said. That was just crap. I'm not really gonna cut anything out, but ignore what I just said. It was a waste. Now, the point I want to say that helps with brainwashing is repetition, right? Repetition is the key to anything. If you want to become successful, you have to continuously replicate the same thing over and over and over again And if it doesn't work, then you replicate a different thing over and over and over again for a long enough time until it eventually works, right? Now, you think about that with brainwashing, and it's the same thing. It's literally the same, okay? With brainwashing, right? I'm gonna look at my notes a little. Your parents. Let's talk about the parents. Your parents have brainwashed you to instill their values into you. Now, you don't have to consistently consume their brainwashing. You don't have to consistently, follow their rule book when you're older. Like, I'm 20 and my parents cannot brainwash me anymore, right? But when I was younger, when I was a boy, when I was 14, my parents could have brainwashed me and could influence me to a higher degree. Now they cannot, because I think for myself, I'm conscious, and I'm more independent. So when you're dependent on someone, you become more susceptible to brainwash. When your mind is more malleable, you become more susceptible to brainwashing. But repetition, your parents instill into you over and over and over again that you should do this or you should do that. And an example I like to use, right, is the 1+1 thing. When you were in middle school, or when you were in elementary school, the teachers would tell you 1+1 = 2, right? Or the teachers would tell you 2+2 = 4. And you would be like, okay, 2+2 = 4. You wouldn't question it. You would accept it. And then you would say 2+2 = 4. You would say 1+1 = 2 or 3+3 = 6, right? But you wouldn't question it. Now, if the teachers were teaching you that 1+1 = 5, right? Do you think you would question it? Or do you think you would believe it? Because over and over and over again, they're telling you 1+1 = 5, 1+1 = 5, or 2+2 = 8. Eventually, you would believe that 1+1 is 5 and 2+2 is 8. So the repetition eventually, and the repetition mixed with the authority / your environment, will manipulate the way that you think about things and the way that you process information. And that's just how it is. Now, the next point I want to talk about, we're going to move from repetition. We're going to go talk about environment. Now, I like to say that birds of a feather fly together, okay? And that's just the truth. I want to use an example with the chicken and the eagle. A chicken's nest is on the ground, right? We all know that. Chickens are ground birds, just like penguins, just like a lot of other birds I can't think of, like emus and ostriches and all those stuff. And guess what? Most of them cannot fly. Now, a chicken can fly, but a chicken cannot fly very far. And the thing with that is that a chicken lays its eggs on the ground and builds its nest on the ground. So that limits the children to understanding that the only way of life is on the ground. Chicks, they live on the ground. They follow their parents around the farm, and they don't ever fly away. But an eagle builds its nest in the tallest tree you could possibly think of, or in a cliff, or in a mountain, or something like that. And the babies are conditioned to understand that the mother leaves the nest and flies off at this very high height. So now they're not scared of the high heights, right? So their environment dictates a lot of things. If the chicken was a bird that nests in the sky, the chicken would eventually just be, like the eagle. But it doesn't, right? So it's bound to the ground because of its environment, because of its limiting beliefs, because it's continuously told itself that it's a ground bird. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you the biology behind this, because I'm not a scientist, okay? But I'm using this as an example to let you understand that environment dictates a lot of things. So when you're around a lot of people who are drug addicts, or you're around a lot of people who are alcohol addicted, or people who go to parties 24/7, only expect that you will be just like them. If they're your friends and you value their friendships, expect to be just like them, because you're not going to get a different result. That's just what you're asking for. You're asking to be like that because of your environment. So if you want the opposite, surround yourself with people who are different. Surround yourself with people who have a free mind and realize what is right and what is wrong, and who embody the kind of values or the kind of person you want to be. Now, the next thing I want to say has to do with identity. It's about identity. Now, identity is a big one. I like to say identity is more important than motivation, because if you have identity, it means you have purpose. And if you have purpose, you don't need motivation, because if you have purpose, that thing will drive you and will be the motivation, right? Motivation is so fleeting. Like, I've consistently found myself during the 3 a.m. kind of the trend, not trend, but the 3 a.m. thing, where it's 3 a.m. and you feel that burst of motivation because it's 3 a.m. And that's just how everyone feels because of the brainwashing. If there was no brainwashing or there was no concept of the 3 a.m. motivation, you would just be asleep or you would just be awake and you wouldn't feel any way or shape or form, right? You would just go about your life. But the 3 a.m. motivation, right? And then eventually, so your motivation goes up and then your motivation goes down. And then your motivation goes up and then it goes down. And then eventually there's just no motivation to do it because the motivation is gone, because it's not consistent. But purpose is consistent. Purpose doesn't just go anywhere, right? And you need purpose in order to have identity, because in order to know who you are, you have to have a driving factor that pushes your life force, that pushes you from this point to that point, that pushes you from broke to rich or from rich to poor, right? It doesn't matter what the outcome is. You just have to have a purpose. You just have to have a reason. From not the president to the president, from businessman to president, right? You have to have a purpose, and that will help build your identity. And once you've built your identity, once you become the type of person, and then you've embodied the type of person that fits those purposes and those goals, then, right, then the motivation will literally just be free, basically, right? But identity is important. It's important when it comes to brainwashing, especially when you're trying to brainwash yourself. So often does the world tell you how you need to live. So often does the world force upon you their identity, right? You watch all these influencers, you watch all these people on social media, and that becomes your identity. You take from them and their purpose becomes your purpose. But that's not how it should be. You should have your own purpose. You should have your own way of life. You should not live your life how other people tell you to live your life. You should live your life how you should live your life. You should have a different identity from everyone else. You should embody your uniqueness. That's what makes everyone important. That's what makes everyone special. You can't be special if you never embody what makes you different. So become different. Accept that you're different, right? That's how we have so many followers in the world. And followers are good. Followers are fine. I will not sit here and complain about the followers, because followers are necessary. But we need leaders in the world, and leaders have to pave their own path, have to go their own direction and do their own thing. And that's just how it is. So, but for me personally, my goals, my concept, my purpose is sovereignty, freedom, and the truth. Those are the three things that drive me and I think about every single day. Now, I'm not obsessed with money. I'm not thinking about money 24/7. But of course, money does help you become free. But there are other ways to acquire freedom, right? There are other ways to get access to money than to toil with your whole being and to become a slave, right? I currently have a job, right? And I know for a fact that this job is not going to help me get to the freedom that I want. This job is more or less a slave job, right? This job won't help me get to my destiny, won't help me get to my destination, right? So I understand that. And it will help me. It will help me acquire a new level of awareness because I understand that, right? But the freedom that I'm seeking, like if I could sit here all day and tell you what kind of freedom I'm looking for, but the freedom that I'm seeking is wide range. The freedom that I'm looking for is the kind of, it comes with sovereignty, right? Sovereignty is control, is authority, is power. And then I also want to know the truth. I want to know the whole truth, not partial truth. I want to know the whole truth. I want to know what's going on in the background, what the world really actually is, and what's going on and who's actually behind the scenes. I need to know everything. I need to know the truth. And then my job is to share that truth and share that freedom with you, because freedom comes from knowledge, right? A slave won't rebel if he doesn't know anything. He doesn't know the truth. A slave won't rebel if he believes that the master is a god, right? Because it becomes an impossible feat to accomplish. But if he understands that the master is just a normal person, if he knows the master's weakness, he will kill the master, and then he will rebel. So you have to have the knowledge, and I need the truth. I need the complete truth so that I can be free from my enslavement. And I need to know, and the truth will set you free, right? I'm a Christian, so I understand. I value these concepts. I value this reality when it comes to, the truth setting me free. But that's just what it is. I want the truth. I want sovereignty, and I want freedom. Those are just my realities. Those are just the things that drive me and keep me up at night. Those are the things that I think about at night when I can't sleep. It's not just about starting a business. It's not just about doing all those things, because those are all vanity. I want authority. I want power. I want to be able to influence the masses in a way that serves my purpose under God. Those are the things that I want and I look for. Hold on. I got to pause real quick. All right, guys, we are back. That took a bit of time, but we're back, guys. So the next point that I want to go over, I want to try to end this video quickly, or soon at least. But the next point that I want to go over is the point of controlling your diet. Now, when you want to be skinny, right? Say you're fat, and say you weigh like 300 pounds, and you want to be 150 pounds, or you want to be 160 pounds, right? Or maybe you just want to lose 200 pounds. Do you eat more? Do you keep going to McDonald's? Do you stuff your face with cookies and doughs and cakes? No. You control your diet. You stop eating as much, right? You go on a fasted state. You work out more. You control your diet and you change your habits, right? And it's the same thing when it comes to this brainwashing thing. If you, now I'm trying to help you with the truth now, right? I'm trying to help you with the truth now. But if you control your diet, by diet I mean your phone, right? You stop consuming so much stuff from your phone. You're then controlling your diet. You're then preventing yourself from being manipulated. You're preventing yourself from consuming too much stuff, right? When I go on Instagram, right now, don't bash on me or anything, but when I go on Instagram, sometimes you'll end up and you'll scroll, and I have a lot of like, don't bash on me for this, but I have a lot of like anime stuff, right? I love anime, so if you want to say something about that in the comments, genuinely, I don't know what to tell you, because you're missing out one, and you're a loser probably. But if you like, I scroll on Instagram and I'll see my anime edits that I use in the gym. Okay, I don't just watch this shit just to watch it. Okay, but I use it in the gym, and then I'll like see some stupid stuff about like some OF girl, and it generally does make me mad, right? Because I don't want to see this stuff, but then two, like, it just pisses me off, and then I keep seeing the stuff like this. And that's the brainwashing. That's the bullshit, right? That's the bullshit. Pornography is literally brainwashing, right? This stuff right here is literally like cocaine, right? Your phone is cocaine, bro. Your phone is the equivalent in my mind as cocaine. It's equivalent of a drug, because you're consuming and consuming and consuming, and you're being dope. You're being sedated, basically. You're being sedated, bro. But you're consistently consuming content on YouTube, on TikTok, on Instagram. You're trying to follow up and see how this guy's living, and I'm not perfect at this either, guys. I'm not great at it. But sometimes I'll go hours upon hours without it, unless I'm at work. I have to, sedate my mind from my slave job, and sometimes it's super hard, because I'll do like a 10 or 12 hour shift, and then I'll just be there, and I'm doing some mindless bullshit, and I just feel like a slave. So I just need to get away from that reality that I'm a slave, and figure out how I'm going to get out of being a slave. So then I just listen to stuff on Instagram. But you consume, and you're being programmed. Now you can control what you consume, and you can change your diet, right? And consume specific stuff, intellectual stuff, that will help improve your mental capacity to think for yourself, instead of thinking for how one influencer thinks. And girls are super susceptible to this. I'm sorry, but it's just the truth. Guys are as well, but girls more. Girls will literally go and buy a whole version of makeup just because they want to look pretty, when they already look pretty. Girls will go because social media tells them that getting a BBL is okay, or getting lip fillers is okay. They'll go and do it because someone else did it. Okay, and now guys are the same. Guys will do it on different levels, on different playing fields, right? They'll take steroids because other people take steroids, and they want to get a fair advantage. But if you can't control your diet and you can't control yourself, guess what's going to happen in the next few years? Everyone's going to get brain chips, and then you're going to be sitting there like, oh, but everyone's getting brain chips. It's not bad, right? because you're influenced, because you're consuming the content of everyone getting brain chips. Like, it's just one of those things, right? It's just one of those things. And I want to say this, right? When it comes to, like, I would love to talk about the brain chips sometime in the future, but maybe not right now. But when it comes to stuff like that, right? You're consuming and you're consuming and you're consuming, which is repetition. Repetition. We're going back to repetition. And it's also your environment. You're creating a new environment for yourself based off of the things that you're consistently watching and consuming. So then it manipulates your mind, and it turns your brain on and off. Now, there's a conspiracy theory about your phone. If you look at your phone through an infrared light, it consistently flashes on and off, right? With like this one thing for facial recognition. That's what they say, facial recognition. But it flashes on and off and on and off. And the conspiracy is that it actually turns on and off your brain. And another thing is the CIA had tested methods for brainwashing. And one of the ways that they found to brainwashing is by flickering lights. Do you understand that flickering lights can cause you to have seizures? If you have seizures, flickering lights can start and cause a reaction for you to have seizures. It changes your brain chemistry. That's why, certain things are not good for you to be consuming. Like, you shouldn't be on your phone all the time, because like blue lights, that all affects your brain. That all affects your circadian rhythm. That all affects you, right? And it's brainwashing you. You're brainwashing yourself with the content, and you're stuck on your phone for 3 hours, or you're stuck on your phone and not doing anything productive, right? You go to work, you come home, and you're on your phone. It's not a good thing that you should be doing. And look, I'm going to be on myself as well, as much as I'm on you guys, I'm going to be on myself. But you have to get away from this sedated state of consuming and consuming and consuming garbage, and get away from the consumption of garbage and start eating right. Start putting good stuff into your mind. Start using your eyes properly and watching the right stuff. Start thinking about how you can impact the world and become a leader. That's what you should be doing. You shouldn't be doing and consuming. Instead of consuming, create. You were put here to create, not to consume. You were put here to create the world. Okay? I always say this. It's you. The universe is you, not the other people's. When you consume other people's worlds and realities, you lose touch with your own universe and your own reality and your own power. So stop losing touch with your own power and start creating and stop consuming. Now, the next topic I want to talk about real quick is visualizing success. This is big when it comes to brainwashing. If you want to brainwash and reprogram yourself, you have to visualize what it is that you need to reprogram into yourself, right? If you want to become super rich, you have to brainwash yourself into becoming super rich. You brainwash yourself into being poor or being in the state that you are, believing that a job was the only way to do it. You brainwash yourself and you got yourself there. If you want to be rich, you have to brainwash yourself and you have to visualize success. Now, it may sound cringy. It may be something that you've heard so many times from useless mentors or whatever, but it doesn't matter. That's just the truth, right? You have to brainwash yourself and then visualize and be delusional and see the reality that you want for yourself in this world, right? You have to visualize it. When I was a kid, right, I would watch TV. I would see the heroes on TV on Cartoon Network or the Power Rangers, or maybe I would watch Wildcrafts. If you know Wildcrafts, you know that's a holy pool. But I would watch Wildcrafts and then I would start acting like these people, right? Because I'm seeing it. I'm seeing these people and I'm understanding the creativeness of whatever it is that I'm watching. The Power Rangers fighting bad guys, doing this, doing that, doing good stuff for the world, right? And then I would want to sit there and act like the Power Rangers, Jungle Fury, this and that, right? Samurai, all that crap. I would see these guys as my heroes. So I would visualize myself being a Power Ranger. Now, of course, I wasn't a Power Ranger, or I never became a Power Ranger. But that's just making you understand that once you visualize something, once you see it as if it's reality, it then becomes reality. And that's just the truth. Now, this one is a big one when it comes to breaking the brainwashing. You have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. Okay? Now, this is going to be, I think, my last point. I think I'm spending too much time here, so I think this is going to be one of my last points. I'm going to talk about one more thing and then I'm going to be done. But you have to normalize being uncomfortable, okay? You have to normalize being uncomfortable. Being uncomfortable is a good thing, and you have to enjoy it, right? Right now, I'm doing multiple different things, right? So I'm recording videos. I'm doing other stuff on the side. I'm doing other stuff, right? I'm not going to get into that because that's not my life. You know what I mean? My life right now is this. It's what I'm telling you. But when you're doing something, and I'm not gonna sit here and tell you I'm not gonna LARP. I'm not gonna tell you that I'm rich, I'm successful, I'm this and that. I'm not gonna do all that stuff. I'm not gonna tell you and lie to you. I'm not rich yet. I'm not successful how I deem I should be successful yet, but I will be, and that's just the truth. I will eventually be rich and successful. I will eventually be powerful and almighty. But I have to enjoy the discomfort now, because discomfort is how you grow. Think about it. When you're growing as a little boy and you're hitting puberty, if you don't feel pain in your legs when you're growing, you're not going to grow that much, right? Because it's just the truth. You have to experience pain in order to grow. If you go to the gym, you can't grow without the pain. If you decide that you're going to do 2-pound weights and you want biceps, big biceps, how do you think you're going to grow? You're not doing anything there. Right? You're not doing anything there. You're just lifting and being comfortable. So you have to push yourself. You have to push yourself in the zone of discomfort. Now, there's this thing called the zone, right? The flow state. And it's said that the flow state is a medium between discomfort and comfort. You feel like you can do something, but it's hard enough for you to be challenged and your brain gets absorbed into the thing that you're doing. I believe that is true, and I believe that's good. But I believe that you should do things that are impossible and do things that are hard so that you can reaffirm yourself when you succeed at them. This is brainwashing in itself, right? Because when you succeed at stuff, you're brainwashing yourself, telling yourself that I can do this, I can do that, I'm successful, that I made this kind of money, or I've done this kind of thing, or I've achieved this goal in my life. So it's a form of brainwashing, right? But you have to enjoy the discomfort. Like, I'm not going to sit here and tell you to be David Goggins and enjoy the suffering. Like, no, there's a limit, but I think there shouldn't be a limit. I actually don't think there's a limit. I think you should enjoy the suffering, no matter what suffering it is. Whatever path you choose in life, you should enjoy that suffering. And you should completely become the suffering. You should become more than it. You should become better than it, right? That's what I believe. Ugh, it's a caterpillar on me, guys. Ugh, gross. But that's how I envision it. That's how I see it. You have to enjoy the discomfort. You have to enjoy the reality of the world. Nothing is easy, guys. Nothing will ever be easy. Life is not easy, and maybe it is for you, but you're gonna die one day, and your luck is gonna run out then. So life isn't easy. Nothing is a perfect streak of wins. We all eventually lose, and that's just the truth, right? Like, life is so risky that you're gonna die one day. Right? That's just what it is. It's just the truth. We're all going to die one day. So you might as well just enjoy the discomfort to the point, because eventually the discomfort will result in good times, right? But I want to move on from that. The next point I want to talk about is this one. So we got this one. This one I want to go into depth in another video, but I'm going to be brief and then I'm going to wrap up. So it's called dopamine control. So dopamine control equals focus control. Focus control equals low stimulation, and low stimulation equals more drive. I came up with that shit myself. Okay? I came up with that myself. Dopamine control equals focus control. Focus control equals lower stimulation. Lower stimulation equals more drive. Dopamine is the brainwashing drug. If you want to learn how to brainwash yourself into doing certain things, you need to make those things fun. You need to enjoy the things and pair dopamine in a strategical way with the things that you want to accomplish in life. So when you get a reward, when you land a big client in life, right? You want to pair that landing a big client with a nice big dinner, right? For yourself. Now, you don't have to do this, but it's a good thing to do, because then it rewards you for your suffering, for your pain. And then in your mind, you're like, I need to do this again because I love the dopamine. That's why content scrolling on your phone is so easy, because the dopamine is so accessible. But that's why you need to control it. Because when you control the dopamine that you're consistently being fed over and over, your dopamine is spiking and spiking and spiking. Once you control it and you have a steady flow of dopamine, when real stuff starts to happen in your life, now the dopamine can go up properly and your dopamine can fluctuate in a proper way, which will help you regulate your emotions and regulate your ability to focus. Because the reason why we can't focus in life is because we're consistently overstimulated with dopamine. We're watching and scrolling on our phones over and over and over again, and we're being overstimulated. So lower your stimulation by lowering your dopamine, by controlling the dopamine. And once you control that, you control your focus. And once your focus is controlled, you control your stimulation. And once you control your stimulation, you will have more drive. You'll have more reason to accomplish the purpose that you were made for. That's the only way you can go about it, is by controlling your dopamine and rewarding yourself for the proper things instead of the things that aren't worth it. I'm pretty much done with this topic. I want to talk about some more stuff a little bit later. This is just kind of an experiment kind of thing. I'm just really recording these videos just to do something and spend my time doing something, and just talking to you guys, because, you know, who knows where this can go. And I'm not shy of any opportunity. But guys, next video we're going to talk about the Hata virus or something like that, the Hata virus. And we're going to go into depth about, we might not talk about the next video, but we're going to talk about a bunch of stuff. So I love you guys. A lot of videos are going to come out. I'm going to post a lot of videos, and they're going to be really good videos. I'm actually going camping in a few weeks, actually, and I'm going to record the whole thing, or majority of it. And I'm going to take you guys along with me. We're going to do a lot of talks and record a lot of content. And I hope it's going to be good, and I hope you guys enjoy it. But I love you guys, and always, you know, free yourself from your own brainwashing and open your eyes to the real reality that exists in the world. You are Neo in the Matrix. Free yourself from your reality. Choose the red pill, not the blue one. All right, guys. Peace.